There is a definite meta developing in the Legends ZA competitive scene and ranked ladder. There is bound to be a shakeup in Season 2 with Xerneas and Yveltal becoming legal. Today, I want to talk a little about some Pokemon that I think are being a little slept on both in the current meta and when the meta shifts in Season 2. So without any further ado, let's hop right in. These are the 5 Pokemon that I'm going to be talking about today that I believe are being a little bit slept on in the Legends ZA meta, but before I really jump into talking about these Pokemon, I just kind of want to talk about the ZA meta just a little bit, just kind of like in general. And I don't know if it's just me, but I really kind of feel like the meta feels kind of wide open. I do think we have our big bad meta threats, we have Garchomp, we have Mega Metagross, we have Gyarados. I just couldn't think of Gyarados' name. We have Mega Excadrill. So, we definitely have these kind of like meta Pokemon that are fairly common, but honestly, I feel like the meta is pretty wide open when I've hosted a couple tournaments, and the first tournament I hosted, Meowstic did win. Yes, you heard me correctly. I will be doing a video, kind of like a tournament recap video. I've hosted 2 tournaments, but Meowstic only won the first one. So I will be doing a recap video for those as well, so I'm going to kind of wait to talk about those, but I definitely do think that the meta feels pretty fluid right now, to be honest. Like, it definitely feels like, I'll just use this as an example. I played a game, and there was a person in, who I was playing against, like, in the 4-person pod, who had a Aggron, and I believe it was a Mega Aggron as well. And let me tell you, myself and the other 2 people in that pod, we were fighting for our lives against this Aggron, right? Like, it just feels like if you can get it into the right matchup, like, a lot of Pokemon really do feel viable. So I kind of just want to talk about some of these I have seen on the rise, like, especially Mega Skarmory, I have very, very much seen on the rise recently, but I feel like at the beginning of Season 1, we were not seeing very much Skarmory, but I'm going to talk about it. I'll wait until I get there, but I do think Skarmory may be one of the new best Mega Pokemon in Legends ZA competitive, and I really do fully believe that. But let's hop in. The first Pokemon I do want to talk about is Mega Scizor. And I think Scissor's very interesting, right? Like, Scizor has Steel is a very good defensive typing, and Bug is a very bad defensive typing. So we have, like, the Bug Steel, but honestly, the Steel does make up for some of the Bug type weaknesses. You obviously have that massive 4 times weakness to Fire, but as long as you can save your swaps, if you can have some good swap outs, like, you can absolutely swap into something that can eat those fire attacks. Additionally, with Xerneas being legal in Season 2, next season, I think having the ability to go for big steel type damage, like, there is no Terra. You cannot simply Terra away from your steel type weakness. I think being able to go for big steel type damage, whether you want it to be Bullet Punch, whether you want it to be, not Iron Defense, whether you want it to be Iron Head, like, I think is going to be so incredibly useful. Additionally, like, if you are trying to damage Yveltal doesn't resist Iron Head. You can go for big Iron Head, but I think Scizor maybe on a screens team, like, maybe if you can get Scizor, because Scizor has really decent bulk, 140 defense, 100 Spadef, and a little bit lackluster HP in that 70, but fairly decent bulk. So especially if you can get Scizor a light screen, then so you lead, you get your light screen, you swap into your Scizor, you get your Swords Dance off. Brick Break, we are also seeing the rise in screens. I see so much screens when I am playing ranked. And when I'm hosting and playing in a tournament, right? So I think having the ability to go for big 75 BP Brick Break, being able to break through those screens and get damage, meaning if your opponent wants to set those screens again, more than likely they will have to use a swap out to swap back into their screen setter, and then if they want to swap into their damage dealer, that's another swap. And that just seems like very, very difficult to do, and, I don't think they would really be able to do that in such a fast-paced game like what we are seeing in ZA Ranked. So Brick Break feels very good, and I really do like Bug Stab. I really do like Bug Stab on here. I think, like, you know, you have Mega Gyarados, which is a dark type. You have Greninja and Mega Greninja, which are both dark types. Like, you can hit those. You might see some Meganiums, like any grass type, you can hit those pretty hard with the U-turn. I chose U-turn on here. You know, there are other options, right? There are other options. You have like X-Scissor. I think X-Scissor is a great option. I put U-turn on here because I really value in Legends ZA, it's U-turn might not be as user-friendly to use as something like an X-Scissor, but I really value being able to click U-turn, get damage, and then your Mega Scissor or your Scissor returns back to the trainer, right? So it just feels like a very, very useful way to be able to dodge an attack. Like, let's say your opponent has a fire coverage move, and you're either out of swaps or you don't think you want to swap at the moment, like there are other threats around, you don't want to swap. So you can click U-turn. You click U-turn, you get a little bit of chip damage, they click their fire move, but they click it like you've already returned to the trainer, right? So you get to dodge that move. And I just think, like, a well-timed U-turn can absolutely change a game. So I chose U-turn on here. You do not have to use U-turn. I think the mechanic of using U-turn as a dodge function is really interesting and something that I think definitely should be explored in this current meta. Next up, I do want to talk about Charizard X. I'm definitely seeing more Charizard X. Like, this is one Pokemon that when I first started playing on Ranked, I did not see a single Charizard X. Like, from all the way, maybe from, like, rank Z to, like, rank... I'm not really, like, you know, for many ranks, I feel like maybe in many games, maybe I saw one. And I'm definitely seeing it pick up a little bit more, but I think Fire Dragon is such a fantastic defensive typing, and honestly offensive typing. To be honest, this is another Pokemon where you can utilize Swords Dance. I think especially if you want to get your Charizard some screens, that is fantastic. But once again, similar to Scissor, like, formidable bulk, slightly less bulky, but formidable bulk. That 111 defense, 85 SPDEF, 78 HP. Like, it's formidable, right? Definitely formidable. So, you can set up a Swords Dance, then you can go Flare Blitz, you can go Dragon Rush, and you can go Thunder Punch. And with these three moves, with Fire coverage, with Dragon coverage, and with Electric coverage, you hit so much of the meta super effective. Like, so much of the top meta mons super effective, right? Gyarados, boom, Thunder Punch. Skarmory, boom, Thunder Punch. Also, stab Flare Blitz. You know, if you want, oh my gosh, I lost the name of the Pokemon. Garchomp, Dragon Rush. If you're going up against, let's say, a Excadrill, Flare Blitz. You know, it just hits so, if you're going up again, did I already say Metagross? Flare Blitz. It just hits so much of the meta so incredibly well. And the things that may not be super effective to a Flare Blitz, they don't want to take a big boosted Flare Blitz from a Charizard X, right? Like, even, so let's say you have Clefable. I'm a big Clefable believer. Let's say you have Clefable. Clefable doesn't particularly want to eat a fat Flare Blitz right here. So it just feels like these kind of coverage moves and having the ability to set up hits so much of the meta so incredibly well. I feel like, am I forgetting a top Metamon? Maybe, but those are the ones that are coming to mind right now, and Charizard X hits all of them super hard. And the next Pokemon I want to talk about is Meganium. If you give me a chance to talk about Meganium, I will, in fact, talk about Meganium. So, I do think Meganium has some use. I think Meganium certainly has some use in this meta. The way I would probably opt to run a Meganium, and the way I have run Meganium, is with both your screens. You can set up a light screen and you can set up a reflect, then you can swap out to one of your setup mons, to a damage dealer, but you also you made yourself really bulky, right? Like, you set up both your screens, you made yourself bulky, and Meganium, once again, has very decent bulk, boasting 115 in both defense and special defense, as well as a pretty decent 80 HP stat. So you made yourself even more bulky with the screens, and then you can start going for Giga Drains. Like, water types are always going to be good. both in VGC and, like, water is just a good typing, both in, like, VGC and in the Legends ZA meta, so being able to just click Giga Drain and make yourself so annoying, so difficult to KO. Additionally, you could click those Dazzling Gleams if you're up against something like a Garchomp, or up against something like a, you know, like a Mega, Gyarados or anything like that. So you have pretty good coverage moves, and with the Mega you do gain that Fairy typing, so it will be Stab, Dazzling Gleam. I know it says here, but we all know Mega Meganium does get Dazzling Gleam in Legends ZA. So I really want to shout out Mega Meganium as a really fun screens setter. Additionally, you don't have to run Mega. You don't have to run Mega on Meganium. You could run, maybe, if you wanted, like, a Citrus Berry. You could run something like a Citrus Berry. Honestly, you could even run a, damage reducing berry. I could see a damage reducing berry be very useful on Meganium. Like, maybe, it could be, I think, like, flying moves are pretty common, so whatever berry reduces flying move, super effective damage. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Or you could do, is it Akaberry that reduces fire type damage? I feel like I'm not gonna be able to spell it. Nice. Okay, or you could run Akaberry, depending. So I knew one of them. I knew one of them off the top of my head. I was like, or you could run Akaberry. I just opt for the Mega here. I just opt for the Mega here because I do think the added bulk is very, very important for this. Feels very nice for this Meganium set. Okay. Next, I really do want to talk about Skarmory. I will say, I think maybe at the beginning of the meta, Skarmory felt a little bit more slept on. It definitely doesn't feel as slept on now, but I really do think this may be the best new Mega in Legends ZA for ZA competitive scene, for ZA ranked. I think, like, Excadrill's very, very good as well. But I think Skarmory is really something special. I really, really think this Mega is something special. So, like, you could set up your screens, but Skarmory has very decent bulk. Like, the screens don't feel 100% necessary, but I would probably opt for screens, because the Skarmory is kind of let down by the, like, 65 HP stat, right? So you have your Skarmory here. You can click Swords Dance, and very similar to what I was talking about with Charizard, Skarmory has very, very good, just, like, good, powerful coverage moves that hit so much really, really hard, right? So you have your Swords Dance, then you have your massive 120 base power Brave Bird. So here you are hitting fighting types. So if you, I have played against, you know, if you see a, I played against a Machamp. Like, if you see a Machamp, if you see a Mega Scrafty, which I've certainly played against multiple times, if you see a Mega Phalanx, which, again, I played against multiple times, if you see a Gallade, like, you are hitting so many things really, really hard with Brave Bird. Ironhead, again, all those fairy types are certainly pretty common, whether it's a Clefable, whether it's a Mega Clefable, whether it's a Mega Meganium, whether it's a Gardevoir, Mega Gardevoir. Like, you are hitting those Pokemon very hard with the Ironhead. And then Drill Run feels so important. Drill Run means you do not get absolutely stalled out by fire types, right? Because Skarmory, Steel Flying, I believe, to me, is a very good defensive typing. And a pretty good offensive typing, to be honest, as well. But you are weak to those fire types. Also, this means you don't get fully stalled out by electric types either. Like, you have a way to be able to really hit fire types that hit you for super effective, hit them back really hard. You also have a way to hit electric types back super effective that can hit you once again really hard for those Ampharos, and all those Pokemon like that. Like, having the Drill Run as coverage feels absolutely incredible. 80 base power, and then you're also boosted up. Like, this Pokemon feels really, really incredible, to be completely honest with you. And then with the screens to just make it that much more bulky, like, yeah. I think this Pokemon is incredible. If you haven't tried it, I highly, highly recommend trying it. And last but not least, okay, here we are. Last but not least, you know I gotta shout out a bulky water type, right? You know I have to shout out a bulky water type here. We have a Mega Slowbro. And I really do think Mega Slowbro is quite slept on this in this meta, to be completely honest with you. pretty decent bulk, 95 HP, that's very good. A massive 180 defense. So you can swap your Mega Slowbro in, or you can swap your Slowbro in to just absolutely devour some physical attacks. And then a little bit of a lackluster Spadef, but if you want, you can run a Calm Mind set. You can also run if you have something like a Light Screen on your team, then that really patches the Slowbro's special defense, right? Or you can run Calm Mind. So you have that physical defensive prowess, then you run Calm Mind, you already have a very decent special attack stat in 130, then you just boosted it up. And you have really nice moves. You have Ice Beam to be able to hit those Garchomps 4 times super effective, to be able to hit those Mega Dragonites or Dragonite 4 times super effective. You have your Surf to be able to hit fire types very, very well. And then you have your Psychic coverage. You could opt for, I do like the Psychic coverage on here, but depending on what your team is, like, Slowbro does get Flamethrower. So if you really feel like you're not running a fire type and you want the fire coverage and you think the fire coverage is a little bit more useful than the psychic coverage, you could absolutely run the flamethrower on the Mega Slowbro. But I really do think Slowbro can be made into an absolute menace with screens, with Calm Mind, but also if you just want to set up screens and then you want to run 4 attacks, like, I also think that that's absolutely fine for Slowbro. I kind of like the Calm Mind just because being able to Calm Mind and then hit back with like huge surf damage just feels so incredible. But those are the 5 Pokemon that I wanted to talk about today that I think are being a little bit slept on right now, although some, particularly the Charizard and the Skarmory, we are definitely seeing a rise in both of those, and I think that both of those will remain very good, as well as Scizor. I actually think all these Pokemon will remain very good in Season 2, even with the addition of the legendaries of Xerneas and Yveltal. So I just kind of wanted to talk about those Mons today. If you did enjoy this content at any time, please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I would very much appreciate it, and I think that's going to be it for me, so I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye!